Hey guys, it's Christine, owner of PrettySpirits.com, your favorite online metaphysical shop. And on this channel, we talk all things spirituality, manifestation, and entrepreneurship. On today's episode, I will be talking to you about how to shift your identity. And this comes into play when people are looking to gain a certain goal. Maybe it's more movement within career or a romantic partnership, but they're not getting the results that they desire. So they want to change things within themselves in order to use the law of attraction to their benefit. So, reality shifting or changing your identity is a concept where you really go into the root of your thought process, of the actions that you take, and of who you are presenting yourself to be in this world, and you make those changes very strategically. So, I'm going to get into about 9 ways that you can shift your identity and do this in a way that isn't overwhelming. It doesn't make you feel like you're less than. It's not about you as you are not being a good person or not adding value to the world in some way. It's just you knowing that you're ready for a change. You're ready for something different. Because in order to get something different, you have to become and do something that's different. So, the first thing that you can do when you're trying to shift your identity is to be honest about who you are now. And I know this sounds so simple, but quite honestly, a lot of people do not do it. So when I'm asking you to be honest about who you are right now, it means the parts that you try to hide from, the things that you may carry shame around. You can even do this by writing it down, writing out who you think you are in this moment, flaws and all. If you had to describe who you are, to take this further, you could share that list with someone that you really trust, not someone who's going to judge you or try to add a whole bunch of things to it, but just someone who can be that extra pair of eyes to add in a different perspective. Or did you think about this from this way? Or maybe they do have a couple of traits that they want to add in there. But this gives you a rounded out perception of who you are right now. So in order to go anywhere in this life, you have to first know where you're starting from, because that's going to dictate all of the other changes that you make down the line. So that's the first thing. Be very honest, brutally honest about who you are in this moment so that you can build a plan going forward. Number 2, you need to be able to very clearly write out who you aspire to be. So after you've first been honest with yourself about who you are in this moment, who you have been showing up in the world as, you then need to be very clear about where you're trying to go. Because sometimes people know, I want this change, or I want a romantic partner, I don't want to be alone anymore, or I want a promotion, I'm not paid enough. And they'll focus in on just the goal that's outside of themselves without understanding you have to be different to gain that. So who are you trying to become in order to attract that goal? So get very, very clear with yourself, because whenever you show yourself repeatedly this image of what you're stepping into, your subconscious mind can then go to work attracting the opportunities and the people and the habits that really support this new version of who you say you're going to be. So that's number 2. Get very, very clear to the detail. How do you dress? How do you speak? Where do you go? What habits do you have? Be very, very clear about who it is that you are attempting to become. Number 3, when wanting to shift your identity to gain different desires or goals in your life, number 3 would be read back that list of who you aspire to become and get really aware of the resistance that you feel. So if there's any self-doubt that comes up, if there's any frustration or feelings of disbelief, that self-doubt creeping through, we've talked about imposter syndrome in the past. Are there parts of you that just doesn't really believe that you're capable of becoming this next version of yourself? It's okay that these things come up. You're not supposed to immediately just change them or suppress those feelings. You're supposed to honor them, because the more that you're really, really aware of those blockages, of those energies that are pushing back and saying, no, you can't become this. Who do you think you are? Like, this isn't natural for you. This isn't who you were raised to be. You don't have the talents or abilities. If you pour all of that out of you and you write that down, it will encourage you to then go into number 4 and write down affirmations, or write down gratitude phrases that are opposing those negative feelings. So if number 3 is noticing the resistance, noticing the self-doubt, number 4 would be, let's build out phrases, storylines, but let's speak to directly the opposition of what those negative feelings were trying to bring out of you. So if one of the things is, what, you don't have enough money to achieve that. Like, how are you going to do that? The opposition can be, well, this is an abundant world. All resources that I need are ready for me. If your resistant thought was, how can I keep up with this? This is too big of a goal. Your opposing thought can be, everything I can do in my own pace, in my own way, in my own time. Like, you offer yourself patience. If your resistance is, you feel unlovable and who will really want to be with you long term. You've always had things end in breakups, so maybe that comes up for your resistant thought. Your opposition is, you deserve love and romance is readily available for you. But write down those phrases that really combat that heavier energy. And I want you to hang that list somewhere that you can see on a consistent basis. Because it's one thing to do this exercise one time, but this right here, this number 3, number 4, that's where you're starting to really create the change in energy, going from lack, scarcity, disbelief, anger, to confidence and more belief and excitement energy, feeling like you're worthy enough. So you need to reprogram this muscle that says you're not, capable of it, into something that feels proud and ready to receive. So hang that list of affirmations and gratitude, hang that somewhere in your bathroom, somewhere, on your nightstand that you can access easily, and you can keep those in your mind, in the forefront of your mind, and then reprogram your subconscious over time through being in a repetitious pattern with them. So definitely make sure there's somewhere you can see, say them out loud, say them to yourself, say them however many times a day, but you want to do that in order to shift the energy. Number 5, when shifting your identity, would be, take note of the habits and the things that you do on a consistent basis that really don't gel with this new version of yourself. So this is where you take inventory, life inventory, your friend groups, your conversations that you have on the phone throughout the day, how they make you feel, how you dress, go through your closet, look at what you have there. Does this align with the new version that you said you would step into? If it doesn't, start to give some things away, start to throw some things away. Look at how you're keeping your home. Is it clear, open, organized, or is it cluttery? Does that align with the new person you're attempting to step into? If you're wanting to attract romantic love, would you bring a partner back to your home as it stands? Or are there some changes that you need to make to this environment? So really take inventory of your life from all areas to make sure that things make sense. Because if you have mixed messaging, you're saying, I'm becoming this person, but yet everything in your life points to something very different, the two cannot gel together. That is immediate resistance, because it's not a cohesive message to the universe of what you're drawing in. So when you have that mismatch of information, it can slow down, it can delay, it can block your manifestation from coming through. You're not able to shift your reality, to shift your identity, because of familiar triggers in your reality. So if you're saying, okay, I deserve a promotion, and someone who, the me version that receives this promotion is someone who, dresses a certain way, carries themselves a certain way, but then you're still wearing things that are wrinkled, have holes in them, are old, and that don't make you feel like your best self, that isn't drawing a message forward, but instead is triggering your old self to step back in. So you want to remove as many triggers to your old self as possible in order to, and this doesn't mean go buy everything new, go put things on credit card and get yourself into debt trying to do this, but it means take note that over time, this is a journey, right? This isn't overnight. That's unrealistic. For this to really stick, this is something that you'll do over time. So taking inventory and then start with things that you can do that are free, like clean up your home, do things to cut off others who are critical of you and not supportive. And then you work your way through that list in a very balanced way. All right. So number 6 would be replace the negative things that aren't really serving you in your reality through the physical things like we talked about in the inventory, but also replace within mindset like we talked about with the list, the gratitude list, and have this energy of I'm replacing for the good of the journey. Have that story really in mind that you are replacing positive, supporting pieces of items or people. This is your supporting cast that you're replacing in order to have a new reality, because within your new reality, you become someone that is new. But if things are very much the same and don't have much change that has happened, then again, it's easy to fall back into old patterns. So having this idea that change is good, that replacing, updating, having this as your story and as the overall energy, the overall theme of this chapter, it'll help you release way easier than feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming this new person and I'm pressuring myself to get rid of this or to do that. But you make peace with the idea of replacing being good. Because whenever you pluck something out, a habit, a thought pattern, this connection that served you for so long, once you remove it, the universe sees that as opportunities to fill. So it's either going to fill it with something that's familiar or fill it with something that's good, but it's based on your idea of change. Are you open to change? Are you open to replacing the old with something more in alignment with your future goals? Or are you resisting that and hoarding and holding on to what's around you? So have that idea that plucking and replacing is positive. Watch different YouTube channels that emphasize how change is powerful. Change is a positive thing. Read materials that talk about that, but have this idea around your growth mindset being something positive instead of a fixed mindset that doesn't want to alter anything, because you cannot gain something completely different but be so attached to what is. Number 7. So I mentioned gratitude before when we're talking about the affirmation list, but this gratitude is different. This is about you in general being grateful for the process. Being grateful for the process of changing and evolving and giving yourself congratulatory, experiences as you venture through this morphing. It really helps you understand that this is something that you're accomplishing, you're achieving. And even though small wins don't seem so impactful, if you constantly give gratitude that you are in flow towards your desire, you are making headway and you're so grateful for the journey and you're doing things to pat yourself on the back along the way, it really gives yourself a boost to keep going. If you aren't in this energy of gratitude and giving yourself props for the headway that you've made, you may feel a bit discouraged when you aren't seeing changes happen instantaneously, or if you feel like you made a hiccup one day, you maybe called an ex, or you did something that took yourself backwards, you may be really hard on yourself and you may just give up this whole shifting of your identity. But you're human, it is okay. Give yourself grace. By giving yourself grace, by being in a grateful mindset, you're way more compassionate with yourself as you journey forward. So do not forget, Write a gratitude list every day. It can just be 5 things, 10 things. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. But when you come from that space of all is well and I am loving this journey, it's a process, it's something that happens over time that benefits me long term. I happily build these new foundations all around me. I mean, that makes you feel so inspired instead of feeling defeated. Number 8, do things to give yourself inspiration and to make you feel like you have an accountability partner. So, if this is having someone as a mentor that is in your life, or maybe it's someone that you watch online that gives you that inspiration, maybe you tell someone, hey, I'm shifting my identity and these are the things that I want to stay away from. So, if you hear me saying these negative phrases or negative words or doubting myself, tap me on the shoulder or call me out on it in a loving way. You can have that accountability partner, but create a team. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone that you tell all your business to, because ultimately this is your journey and it's no one else's responsibility. But if you want to have a life coach or a friend that's there, or someone who is virtual who you just watch for their accomplishments, because their accomplishments are similar and they motivate you to really keep going. Build that team, because it's always best to feel like you have supporters, encouragers, versus trying to do this all alone. It can seem a bit much. The last thing, number 9, is to rinse and repeat. Really, throughout this process, you're going to have to revisit the previous numbers, because you may realize, oh shoot, I did not, through my inventory, I didn't take this thing that is genuinely a trigger, or you didn't notice this part of yourself, because this is something that really taps into self-awareness and you getting deeper and more vulnerable with how you show up in the world. So you will have things come up that are so different than you ever expected. Be okay with that. Just start the process from the beginning again and be in that place of excitement that you're learning, really aware that it's all fluid and nothing has to be perfected. But you will see changes the more that you stick with it and the more that you invite it to be a part of your everyday routine. All right, guys? So these are some strong ways that you can shift your identity and step into the version of yourself that gains so much momentum towards your ultimate goals, whether financially, career-wise, life purpose, in love, with friends. It doesn't matter what the goal is. This is the blueprint for getting you there. If you want to schedule time with me to do coaching and have me be your accountability partner, you can schedule a session with me by visiting prettyspirits.com. Find me on Instagram, shoot me a DM, let me know that you love this episode. My Instagram is Pretty Spirits Co. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, bye guys.